So, talking about teaching beginner students, I'm sure that this is something that you're all very familiar with. For most of us, we are teaching students who have maybe some Japanese background, maybe in some cases not at all. And we have to teach them brand new systems of writing, kana, sound systems, characters, all that good stuff. So my first question is, how do you start teaching beginner reading and writing in the online Japanese courses? And Kobuke Sensei, if would please start with you.
Sure. Let me share screen. Oh, hold on. I like to use this way. I don't like uh, okay. So let me share. So most of the times uh, when I'm teaching Japanese 101, I'll start with the hiragana chart. And in the past, I used to do, for example, vocabulary words that students are already familiar with, food items, sushi, or things like that, to introduce through context. But then I found students don't memorize the goju, the order of the chart as well. And then they have a harder time in the higher levels when they need to use the chart to conjugate. So I'm back at using the chart. So for hiragana, I use the goju chart, and it's helpful for us that the pronunciation, the aiueo, is similar somewhat to Hawaiian language. So I can fall back on saying, oh, it's similar to how we, say Hawaiian words. And for katakana, though, I start with words that students know that they're familiar with. So, place names in Hawaii, Waikiki, Ala Moana, or food items or signs they will see in Waikiki or Ala Moana when they go, menus. So I start with words that they know there. And then I use Nearpod to introduce the writing, because writing in with Nearpod, you can talk about the background of how hiragana characters came to be in a video, and then you can move on to having students draw in Nearpod, write the characters in Nearpod, and also you can show the stroke order in the videos. Um, but for the difficult characters, I like to use this AI, letter AI. And I think there's other ones like Bimoji, the Apuri Bimoji, where students can go in and write the characters and see how off or how unbalanced they are. And I have students take a screenshot of their score or video. Recently, I've been asking them to take a video, a screen video of the process. Normally, when you have students do this and they see their score and they're not satisfied, they will continue to practice writing this. So this is one that I like to use. And Bostwick Sensei mentioned the other on Wednesday, importance of keeping students motivated. And at the beginning of the semester, I was asked students, what kind of learner are you? And a lot of students will say, oh, I'm a visual learner, or I like to do things hands-on. Um, and they like to repeat. They like to repeat things at their own pace. And I find using H5P, so many different interactives that you can use, really helps in helping students get used to the characters, introducing the characters. So I use a lot of the memory game, drag and drop, dialogue cards, flashcards, memory game, matching the characters with the Romaji first, and then matching the sound with the characters makes it a little harder. And then drag and drop with the hiragana chart. And then maybe next step, drag and drop spelling the character, like the aisatsu, things that they need to be able to text or write. And then using flashcards to actually have them type. So this is the process, the different tools that I usually use to present hiragana or kana.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this fantastic resource. I love the challenge of trying to improve the way you're writing your characters, and the students will obviously repeat over and over again, which, oh, that's just so not conducive for learning, right? Like, it's going to help them if they're practicing over and over again. That's going to help them commit that to memory. And I'm always all about finding ways to gamify the classroom to keep that engagement going. So thank you for that. Excellent. Love Sensei, we'll go to you asking the question about teaching beginners. How do you start teaching beginner reading and writing in the online Japanese classroom?
Yeah, so one thing that I've started doing recently is even with just absolute beginning level students, starting to communicate with them in Japanese, like from the very beginning. And then, so whatever it is, I'll say maybe like, hi, welcome to the classroom, or, something like that. But then at the end of it, I'll put in English a thing that says, I recommend using DeepL to figure out what this says. Some people like ChatGPT, a lot of AI resources that we can use now that our students can use to figure out what things say in the language. And so just like from the very beginning, getting them used to communicating in Japanese, I have something down there that's going to say, you can reply in English if you want to. I'd encourage you to do it in Japanese if you can, if you, absolutely try that out. But I'll take an English response if you want to give me an English response. But my communication to them is in Japanese. So I think from the very beginning, we can start doing that kind of thing. Another one is just at the very beginning, something that we'll do is give students some authentic Japanese text, and they're not reading it, they're just identifying the scripts, right? So they're saying like, this one is katakana, this one's hiragana, this one's kanji, this is Romanized English. Um, so just identifying all those, it's a good chance that it'll work with authentic materials at an early stage. Also gets them, kind of used to how the scripts in Japanese are going to be indicating where word breaks are. So, and that's just, so different when you're a native English speaker and you're used to there being breaks from the words. And now you don't have any word breaks. How do you figure out where one word ends and the other begins? So I think that's useful for that as well. Um, I'll also mention that when we get into reading and writing, I usually let students use AI tools to complete writing assignments. I think people are probably going to think different things about that. But my thought on that is that when students get out of the classroom, those are all tools that are going to be there for them to use. And I think it makes more sense for them to get some experience using those tools well. They've got teachers that can kind of coach them through what they do well and what they don't do well. So they get a sense of, how they can actually use them as effective tools and something to supplement, their language knowledge as opposed to something to replace it. So that's some thoughts from me.
Well, I think it's important to recognize that our students are going to have access to tools like AI. And when they are graduated, they've moved on from our programs. I think it's helpful to give them some context as to how to properly use these tools rather than just kind of going to town and potentially getting some output that maybe isn't going to work so much. So I can completely appreciate where you're coming from on that, Love Sensei. And I think a lot of people, as time goes on, are going to take more of your approach of we want to encourage students to use AI, but use it responsibly. Thank you for that. Fantastic. Saito Sensei, let's go to you, please. And the question is about our beginner students. How do you start teaching beginner reading and writing in the online Japanese environment?
Okay, so it's the online. At the beginning, I introduced myself like I teach middle school, high school, and college. But the college is online. It's the fully synchronous, and I teach. It's the Sofra model. It's the synchronous online flipped learning approach, and that's really working very well. And I teach like the 101 level, it's the college term, 101 level in the middle school and I mean like the college. So and it's online, so I'm trying to introduce like focusing on the online part, but either way, I start from the sound. I'm not jumping into the characters from the day one. And of course, I will introduce like many parts, but like I'm gonna start focus on the especially like since like the college class is only 15 weeks, and I like from my class, my course like we see only twice a week. So like I really need to like the put a lot of thought like course design, like what's the effective way, that what's the Mondays for. So like I'm not gonna going back to there, but like the hiragana teaching is also the same way. So I want to start with the sound, and I learned from this technique from the middle school. And like people think that middle school, that's age, and high school is different, but actually I can really learn from the secondary. So I highly recommend everyone because the secondary is full of the educational techniques and pedagogies and yeah, tips all over. And so especially middle school, like the student learn hiragana with the mnemonic, like mnemonic system, and it's the picture and the sound like goes with it. So like it sticks their brain, I think, very effectively. So and I think Kobuke sensei like mentioned about the learning style. It's different. Most of the Japanese like teacher like me, like who learned hiragana at the Japanese elementary school, like we were kind of like, has to copy the hiragana and has to write 10 times like every day. And like the teacher gives you like accuracy, like with the red pen, like that's how we learned. But here we are in the States, and like the kids or like student, even like who comes to like the higher education, like they have a background of learning other subject with their like their own way, and all of a sudden like the higher ed, we have to force them like giving them worksheet and also like tracing them and ask them. I think it's a little bit not effective. I that's something that I learned. And some people like say like it's the muscle memory, but yeah, but it's not always it works 100% for everyone. So I think like this is like something I learned, like I should give them a lot of materials, and so they can self-paced learn together with learning the Japanese. So like so my Japanese course has like each modules has the goals, and end of the modules, like they have to learn how to introduce themselves with the appropriate sentences, and together with like they should be able to recognize all hiragana 46 hiragana, and also like small yayuyo and those techniques as well. So and for doing that, I think I would like to introduce it's the Japan Foundation, and the one course it works very well with my online course is the Japan Foundation Minato Hiragana course. And actually, this is not only for the online, like all of my college, Hunter College's classes use this JF Minato Hiragana course, and it comes with the app, and it's called hiragana memory hint, and you can see the same, like, the image goes into, like, the hiragana, and the first one, is like, the boy is like saying that there is snake, and the snake is around your like legs. So that's picture like changing into the together with the sound. There's a up and worksheet. The Japan Foundation Sydney, like they put the worksheet like with using this app and also the Minato Hiragana. So why not, like I use those, and I even design my chatbot for the Hiragana learning, and with using, like I give them all this like mnemonic techniques into the chat box. So like, if the student doesn't connect, okay, we don't know like this hiragana, then like, the chatbot gives you like, there is a snake. Do you remember like this shape? And so that's guide you to like, stick with your memory. So I think that's the gives you the retention for the student. So I teach that way. And if we have time at the end, maybe I can show you this. I call it Hiragana Sensei. And so, and then like, student can jump onto the Hiragana Sensei and they can like self-paced study with doing that. Yeah, thank you.
We'd love to see it. And I really like that the app kind of has something for everybody. So those that are more visual might be able to make connection with the boy and the snake. If you're like me, you realize by writing the characters, you're actually a very kinesthetic learner. You can copy and repeat. So we're really giving students that choice and the voice to optimize our learning, I guess you could say, and giving them the options to choose what they like. Great work, thank you. And then Nozaki Sensei, same question, talking about our beginning learners. How do you start teaching beginner reading and writing in the online Japanese classroom?
So if I teach beginner students for reading and writing, as I agree with Saito Sensei, I want to start with a sound system. So my teaching setting is I've been mostly teaching college students. So they want to know what to, I think it's effective for them to know firstly the difference between the mostly English speakers, so different sound system from English and Japanese. So like, and also different accent or different from alphabet systems. So firstly, I introduce the characteristics of Japanese language, like a writing system, reading, like a writing system. So for example, like Japanese has five vowels and a variety of consonants, and each kana represents one sound. And unlike alphabet, it's not a combination of normal alphabet. And also introduce unique, like Japanese unique, like long vowels and contracted sound as well. So after introducing those Japanese sound system and how each kana represents one sound, and then we start learning hiragana. So like first vowels, like first line is a, I, U, E. Also those are the vowels, and next is K consonant column. So K plus A and Ka, and K plus E is ki, and K plus U is U, and so on. So yeah, so we use this order. And then, but usually for college students, I ask students to study on your own before coming to the class. And when we come to the meet in the class, I will just check their preparation, like showing like in a flashcard style. So I may put u hiragana and student will say u and so on and put katakana, ka, hiragana there, and they will they will speak out the ka sound. And so, yeah, so I try to use it, show it randomly, like a flashcard. And yeah, it depends on the curriculum. I think I would introduce like 5 to 10 kana per day, and I usually teach like 4 or 5 days a week. So usually they finish master hiragana in 2 weeks, about, and then moving to katakana and kanji. So so after they recognize each kana, so uh, I make the kana to a word and longer word and sentence like so. So first, students can read katakana nu, for example, like nu, and then I add e before that, and student can read inu. So try to introduce words that students are familiar with, or the words that students enjoy, like. And inu become koinu, and then after students have learned particles or imasu, existence verb, so koinu ga imasu, so they can start reading sentences and more paragraph length text. So those are the reading part. And when we start, right, so after they recognize each kanas, so they start practice writing. And then, so in an online setting, mostly exclusively I use Zoom, so whiteboard is most easiest way to use to show how to write. And yeah, so it looks like similar to what Kobuke sensei showed, and if I use whiteboard, I think everyone familiar with how it looks like. But yeah, it is convenient to show like stroke orders or directions or some lengths, but if it is challenging to show how to how to end the each stroke, like especially when we have to release some endings, so it's hard to show in a whiteboard. So I think online setting, I haven't used in the online setting, but in the classroom I use like a document camera. So document camera is it's like lamp style, and so I can just use normal pen and paper and just write as usual. So the camera will capture how I write. It's like from the same viewpoint from the writers. So I think it's helpful for the students or learners to see how to write, like in stroke order, direction, and length, and also my favorite like ending, like if the end of the stroke is a release or a stop or making a hook and so on. I think it is, and recently I think it's become cheaper, so more available. So I think it is a helpful tools to teach writing. And I do not forget to give assignment for the students after introducing the reading and writing. So they will review what they have learned in the classroom by doing a workbook and so on. So yeah, so as Sensei mentioned, like most of us Japanese grew up in a school setting. We learned kana and kanji by using hands. So when we write those kanas and kanjis, we use like squares to write those kana to fit in certain boxes. So sometimes I share those boxes, and students will print out and write and practice those kana and kanji. So yes, I think that's it.
I think you covered everything very well. And sometimes it is a combination of those tried and true methods, things that we did in childhood. I mean, I can even relate when I was learning how to write the Roman alphabet in first grade, how we had our workbooks, and it was helpful. I think I mastered the Roman alphabet at this point. But we can also use some new technologies as well to, again, make sure we're serving all of our students. Thank you for that, Nozaki Sensei.